hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome back to Pinewood Hills, and a very warm welcome to my guest RubleTrillions.
Hey man, thanks for having me on.
You are incredibly welcome here. So if you don't know, a couple of weeks ago I passed the park to Ruble, to kind of gave you free reign with it really, didn't I? Point you in a couple of directions, but for the most part I kind of let you get on with it.
Yeah.
Masked had Jubilee, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so Mass Bandit had Jubilee Garden, so I thought you'd be sitting there twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah.
And if there'll be a good chance to get somebody else to come in and do some stuff. To be honest with you, I've hit a little bit of a wall recently. I know it's something you've suffered from in the past with the game, hitting a bit of a creative lull.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, I go through those. Fortunately, right now, I feel like into the game, like I just got Jubilee back and I'm definitely gonna hop back into that, and I had a blast in here. I probably will. I hope that you're happy. I might have gone a little overboard. We'll see how much you regret giving me free reign. So
I'm sure I won't. You did send me a couple of pictures, screenshots early on saying this is the kind of direction I'm going in. And it all looked awesome, but this is genuinely the first time I saw it, so you guys at home there are seeing this as I see it for the first time. So we're in Tejikam. We'll have a little walk down here. We'll walk over, do an overview later on, but am I going to the right here, am I?
Yeah, so pretty much just that area to the right is all I really worked on. So.
Okay. The only thing I really kind of got you to stick to was this area is built in the 60s. So I know you guys hate this word. It's fast becoming our version of Silverette's weenies, but it's Googie architecture. it's a real word, all right? I haven't made it up. It's kind of like architecture from the 60s, very retro-futurism, sort of like the Jetsons kind of thing.
Like Atomic Age kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go, a bit Fallout, that kind of thing, yeah. So that's kind of the theme we're going for. So you've kept to that, have you? You kind of kept to that?
Yeah, I really kept that going.
Okay,
so.
Good. Here we go. So Sparrow Wharf. That looks a little closer. So we've moved that around a little, have we? Oh God, wow, you've done a lot. All right, so Sparrow Wharf has come a little bit closer. It looks like a proper entrance now, which it kind of didn't before. It was a little bit lost before.
The sign's amazing, so I really wanted to show that off.
Yeah, that's really good where it is. You literally just brought it forwards?
Yeah, I don't know if it might... The only thing that I was worried about is it might be too far away from sort of the waterway area now, so you might have to rename it or consider renaming it.
Okay, it's not necessarily a wharf anymore.
Yeah, so that was the only sort of downside of what I did, but...
Okay, we can look at that. Definitely.
Yeah, it really helps to... Once we get out of Tejikam, I can explain more about how I kind of opened this area up, but I moved some things around and it created a lot of space, and that's kind of what you're seeing here. So.
Right, okay, cool. I kind of struggle to remember what it looked like before, to be honest with you. This was just like a straight road that down to the... Oh, wow, look at the cable car. Oh, wow.
And you can... That post is just a building piece right there in the middle of the screen. Post. So, sorry, I meant to sink that below ground, but...
It's fine, you can do that.
But...
That's holding a few bits of scenery together, is it?
Yeah, it's just some landscaping, so...
No worries. So... We come over here to the Monteleone, is it?
Yes, yeah. So I struggled to find a flat ride that I liked for over here. And, I kind of sent you some ideas of things I was thinking about for this area, like potentially a car ride and like the tracked car ride and stuff. And that would have probably had to have been themed more towards the original park. So a lot of the stuff that you already finished. And it was making it difficult to create sort of this entire area, so I ended up deciding on a flat ride, and thanks to some of the folks on the Bro Nation Discord, I was able to get confirmation that these types of rides did exist at the time period that this would have been built.
Right, okay.
So in terms of, because the other one I was looking at was the Tilt-A-Whirl, and it just didn't, I don't know, I put it down and it just didn't feel right. So
and also, to be honest with you, Tilt-A-Whirl is a very American flat ride. In the UK we have waltzers, which are similar, but they have more cars and it's always covered like this. So so it says, well, yeah, it wouldn't really fit here because it's quite American. Very British, this one though. Very seaside British. It would probably be from a little earlier, I think. This is one of the flat rides I was a bit disappointed I didn't get into the original area, to be honest, because I think these probably would have been around then. But you know, the lore could be that they've moved it over here and rethemed it, you know, or maybe recovered it, or got it cheap, you know, got a cheap second-hand flat ride or something to throw it in and fill up some space, you know.
And that was the other sort of struggle, and just making sure, because obviously Jubilee Gardens is a very American park, and so getting away from that and trying to find reference images for your parks over there, that was definitely a struggle. So I hope that I didn't go too overboard with this, and I hope it still fits. So. No,
it fits really well. It looks concrete, and steel and plasterboard and stuff. So the other thing is that you've got to remember that the Pinewood Hills is a budget park, and a British low-budget park is much lower budget than an American low-budget park. Even your low-budget parks are still pretty high-end for us.
Yeah, well, and even with this architectural style, like, I was with some of the buildings, I was worried that they may have been too expensive for budget. But if you think about the style itself, probably wasn't that expensive to build, and you just look at the things that, like, a lot of the inspiration I pulled from was like gas stations and coffee shops and car washes, so they weren't super expensive structures to build. And this actually is inspired by one of the pavilion buildings from the World's Fair in New York in 1964, I think is what it was.
So right sort of time then. But that's it. I mean, the buildings are relatively grandiose and colourful and stuff, but really it's concrete and steel, and the building material goes, it wouldn't be that expensive to build, really.
Yep.
This is one of the reasons I went for this sort of style in the first place. Queue-wise, you've kept it pretty simple, sort of some caterpillar in here that you can close off if you need to. And
yeah, exactly.
It sort of goes around here and is this a different background here? Oh yeah, just walk through the fence.
Yes,
That joins on the backstage there, does it?
Yeah.
I was kind of worried I was just going to end up with little islands of backstage. That's worked out quite well there. That's just join that up. Does that come around there then, around the back of the first aid?
Yeah, so it doesn't connect in there, but it just, so there was a fence there between the storage building, and so I put a path down there.
Right, okay. So that's joined it, and you've got a path there that comes all the way around to the back of the go-karts.
So, and that's, that building there, the backstage building for the go-karts, that was where a lot of this stuff, it was to the left.
Over here before.
So I moved it to the middle of the go-kart track, and then that opened up all this area that all these other buildings are in.
Awesome, okay. We'll have a look at that from the overview in a minute. But first of all, let's go back around here and have a look at Tejikam. So next up we have this awesome, like, spaceship kind of building here.
So
is that just a facade, is it?
I don't have anything inside of there. You could easily put a shop down inside of it, but I didn't detail it or anything like that on the inside. So this, not exaggerating, I had the advanced move crash on this dome 10 times. I'm not exaggerating it.
It's gross.
So,
isn't it?
But it was worth it.
I haven't had it for a long while, but it's really awful, isn't it?
So it was worth it though. This building I took some inspiration from. I found some concept art for a place called Biff's Coffee Shop in Los Angeles. I don't think it ever got built, but I found the concept art for it, and that's what I based this off of.
It's great. It's again, it looks so grandiose in that, but this would be very cheap to build. This would be like fiber. What's the word? Fiber. Can't think of the word I'm thinking of.
Plywood.
Yeah, no, it's like made. What's it called then?
Oh,
fiberglass. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be like fiberglass and very cheap to make and stuff like that. Probably by now it would have bits hanging off it and fall into bits.
Yeah, so that's one thing that you may want to go back through and do is kind of dirty some things up a bit. I tried to make the colors faded a bit. But that's about the extent. So yeah, if you want to go through and rough some stuff up, that's fine with me.
That's pretty cool. And on the right, We have another building. Look at this roof. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, so that's also based off of a coffee shop in Los Angeles. And it's in your park, it's a gift shop. So I've sunk a balloon shop in there so they actually walk in and get it.
You can actually go in and get something.
But that's the extent of the interior.
Cool.
So
there we go. I'm not particularly fussed on interiors, to be honest with you. I think they're great when you do them, and then you never look at them again, and they're just a waste of pieces.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where, in an ideal world, if you had unlimited capacity for pieces in a park, you would go through and do it.
Sure.
But I would much rather have a finished exterior of everything than worry about interior. So
yeah, 100% agree with that. I love the fact that you've these aren't sort of like they're similar to the ones I've already got. You can see materials and stuff carried across, but they've still got their own kind of feel to them as well. They work together well.
Yeah, so I definitely looked at stuff you had already done, and that's where I grabbed most of the materials from. I tried to vary it a little bit because you will find in this style of architecture the occasional use of like stone and brick. Mm-hmm. So I tried to include that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Quite randomly, they'll just use a bit of old brick or something.
And different colors, like the colors usually don't make sense. And yeah, so.
Okay, great. So, John, I really love the attention that you put to these little back alleyways and stuff. It all ties it together really well. And then we have this gorgeous cable car station.
Yeah,
so we'll look where it goes in a minute. But
so I made the station, and then the actual sky ride itself is created by Kinderly.
Okay, yeah.
He's been on RollerCoaster and
no stuff, yeah.
He's got it on the workshop if anyone wants to use it. It's incredibly well done. It really makes you realize like how much the game is actually missing that as a transport ride.
Yeah, definitely. My worry is that one day we get it, and it's huge. That would be what they do. That we'll get cable cars. We'll go back to replace these ones with the actual one, and they're huge.
And then, so this building, obviously, it's not a functioning ride, so it's got a queue entrance and all that stuff. But the building itself was another New York World's Fair building. It was the monorail station. So they had an elevated monorail concept for the World's Fair, and this was the station that they had. So the station in the images I saw, it was like red and really bright white, but I didn't want to. I was using a lot of red, and I didn't want it all to be that color.
Yeah,
so.
I noticed that red is quite an often the accent feature on this kind of building style. There's a lot of steel, concrete, and then red, and also the lack of color makes it look a bit cheaper to build, and
Yeah, and I really faded this down. So the part of the problem with this style in this game is the art shapes are super shiny. So if you actually click on one of these art shape pieces, it's like a cream color. It's not white at all. So I tried to make it look faded, but even still, because the texture is so shiny, it still looks pretty new.
It's not good. But no, that's really good. It's such a great sight line as well, It looks really busy, but just that look of the cable cars going off into the distance.
Yeah, and the way I was lucky to be able to place it the way I did, and when we do the overview, you'll see it more, but it like barely fits the way that everything was laid out, so.
Awesome. Next up, we've got this pit stop, which I remember you saying to me that you're going to have to redo pit stop, to be honest, because it doesn't fit anymore, which is fine.
I mean, in theory, there's always ways to explain things away too. I mean, this could be a newer building that they added. I mean, there's always ways to get around that. We've been creative in our explanations in Jubilee. So.
No, I think I could redo it, and I think I'll have another go at it. It's really just changing the roof. Put a funky roof on it, and a few changes to the
like even the awning and all that stuff you could keep.
Yeah, we could tie all that across. And then we get a cafe. That's a really gorgeous sign. Very googie.
Yeah, and I was going to try to do like custom letters, but I just didn't have the time, and it was really hard. So
yeah, those single square signs work really well for this sort of thing, though. To be fair, I've used those quite a bit already.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this we have an interior?
Yeah, so I did do a little tiny. I didn't do a ton of details, but I wanted to open it up, and mostly because if you were to like move all of these buildings off of the path, you would see that the path is actually pretty narrow here. And so by making it open, it sort of gives the peeps another thoroughfare.
Right.
So yeah, because the way I had it before, it kind of bottlenecked, and so opening it up definitely helped a lot with that. Like you'll see, I've got the sort of cement roof pieces hiding the gaps, but on the ground. But it's
I use those all the time.
The path is much narrower than it actually looks here.
Right. So you wouldn't get anyone walking here. So yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I see. But no, they'll cut through the store. Right. That makes sense. Cool. Another awesome roof. Is that Eddie Head, or is it from?
No, there's a coffee shop in LA called Norms, and it's based off of that.
Yeah, I think I saw that one when I was looking for some reference pictures. I think I remember Norms popping up.
Yeah, it's one of the if you search Googie architecture, it pops up as one of the first couple. Yeah,
and then we have this amazing speedway station there for the go-karts. It's stunning. It's huge, but it's stunning.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it. It's based off of a car wash.
All right.
Also in California. So
it's good. California's kind of like the place where this stuff still exists, especially the stuff that's still there. Most of it is in California for some reason. This is really good. It is big. I remember you saying that it's come out a little large, but it works because this would probably be the big point of the area. When it was built. So there's no coaster here, so the go-karts probably would have been the sort of big attraction that the area is based around.
And the station and the building itself really had to be this large. The height. The reason it's so tall is because the base is so wide. So I had to, in order to make the 2 points meet in a relatively good looking position, it had to be that tall. And then in terms of the length of the station, that's just, the stations are just big in the game, period.
They are, yeah. Especially with go-karts, because you've got the wide spaces either side where the cars
so you've got the huge track, and then you've also got parking spaces on both sides too.
Oops. Just landed on the roof. It won't let me jump. Hold on, I have to jump out of Tejicam a sec. I'll try that again. So have you done some other work to the go-karts as well?
Yeah, so it's mostly just relocating that sort of maintenance shed.
Okay, cool. Just gonna jump in there and run over. And I think I saw is it Zuzu it's called?
Oh yeah, so I didn't get a chance to finish that or put any sort of cattle pens or anything like that on it. And honestly, it doesn't really need a lot of theming. It just needs to be kind of decorated up. Right. But I didn't have time to finish all that. But this would have been the correct time period. For this area. Yeah, so. It's
very 60s, isn't it? It's very sort of like Jetsons sort of futuristic. So that'd be cool. That'll give us a good starting point to work on from next, I guess. Which I think will be pretty much the end of this area, really. We're going to move up the hill there into the 70s area and onwards there. So that's awesome. So let's jump out of Tejicam then. I was really hoping you'd have a go at that bridge because I don't want to do it at all. Let's jump out and we can have a look from over the top. Oops. Let me just swing that around. There we go. Cool. So it's actually quite a small footprint, the whole thing, to be honest with you. It looked quite big from down below, but when you look at it, it's all quite tight in, which is something I've struggled with. I spread out a lot. You can tell the difference from there. Look, there's lots of green spaces, lots of tree areas and stuff like that. Where I don't like to join buildings together very much, especially with this Googie style. I really struggle to sort of tie them all together because they're all built so separately.
I mean, and even mine, like some of them down in, I struggle with that too. Down in like Tejicam, when you look at them, it's I don't know if like in peep view if it's really that appealing, from like a visual perspective, but one of the things that I've learned kind of because same thing for me, like when I first started in this game, I would get really spread out, and that's partially because of the path system in the game. If you think about it, if you're just using the 4-meter path, that's 13 feet. and that's long. It's a long ways. It's about 2 people long. So, you know, if you're bumping up to 6 meters or 8 meters or 10 meters, like that's a big area. And so just trying to, I have to like force myself to try to condense things down and fit things in. And so that's kind of the thing I've been working on getting better at most recently. And so what this area used to be, so where the Sparrow Wharf sign, where the right side is, that there was a fence from there to that other fence piece. So there's a fence straight across there. That path wasn't there. And then where the Monteleone is was just some trees.
Just like placeholder trees probably for like screenshots and stuff like that.
Yep. And then the Sky Ride was the maintenance station or maintenance building for the go-karts.
Right.
So when I moved the maintenance building, that freed up a ton of space in this area, and then basically from there I just made buildings to fit spaces.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy because I remember that area there being just sort of trees, and I was thinking, oh, that'll just be a bit of greenery there, you know. But when you just cleared that out a little bit, it's quite surprising how much space is actually there. Yeah, that's something that Commandos is really good about in our series. Is there's been several times where he's like filled in areas that I was content to probably just leave as landscaped. And it makes a huge difference though when you fill that stuff in. And also, real estate would have been prime at this sort of place. Right, you know, they'll stick stuff wherever they can.
Yep, exactly.
And cool. So the last thing we've got then is this. This new bit over here. How have you done that? Are they actually? Are they actually? Is that a station?
Yeah. So I sunk a go-kart station in over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I used some track pieces too to make it look like it's the legitimate track that pulls in there.
Wow, that's great.
And then I just copied your wall that you had already made, your sort of faux barrier.
Oh yeah, that bit
used
there,
yeah,
just to join it all together.
Yep.
That's so good. That's a kind of thing I need to get better at. I have a habit of doing something and going, that's good enough. Whereas
I mean, a lot of times that's the right approach, honestly. Depends on what you're doing, but you know, that was just something that I was like, oh, I wonder if I can use the actual, because I saw your Backstage bumper cars. And I thought that was a great idea, and I was like, I wonder if
I'll just stop you there. It's a UK part. We call them Dodgems.
Oh, yeah. Dodgems. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have bumper cars. We call them Dodgems.
So that's a much better name. So, but yeah, so I wanted to, instead of trying to make them out of heart shapes, I wanted to see if I could get a station down.
It's a really elegant solution for that. It turns out really nicely. And these are icing pieces, are they, to make the skids?
So. Yeah, up close they don't look that good, but when you zoom out, it gives the impression that there's skid marks around. So
that's really good. That's a really good. And change.
Then I tried to create a path to get to the station. Mm-hmm. So there's a little path that goes along the border, and then in between the Sky Ride and the go-karts, the staff can like walk all through there.
Oh right, yeah.
And then it actually. Yeah, it leads into the backstage, and then that backstage leads into the station.
That's really great. I love these little bits of backstage. They really adds
so a new level. I didn't have time to like plop down, you know, odds and ends and things like that.
That's fine. But, we can go in and do little bits like that. But yeah, that's really good. The gate's really good there as well. What would you give for like a pack of this kind of stuff?
As Frontier, if you're watching, I would seriously pay a DLC for like generic park stuff.
Frontier aren't watching this shite. They stopped watching this channel a long time ago, I think. Okay, good. So let's have a look at this cable cars. So it comes up and it fits really well. Is it like a modular kit?
So the way Kinderly made it is, so these towers are all set to a grid piece, so what I did was I basically set the grid to 1 meter, and then I did 20 I think in between each tower, right? And which feels about right. I don't know, you know, I didn't like look up anything to find the exact distances.
It looks good.
And then the cars themselves are all their own individual buildings. And then if you want to like change the colors and stuff with those, you can.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it just like happened to plop perfectly in the area. So what I did was I made it the length that I wanted, and then I tweaked it because I was having problems where it kept intersecting with the boat ride.
Oh, okay.
And then this position the way it is now, it like, and I checked for clearance on that one piece of track there next to the tower in the lake.
To be fair, the boat ride's still a work in progress because it will be a transport ride. So eventually, whenever we get to the other end of the lake, there will be another station there. So the track itself is all still a work in progress. That can change, no problem there.
So and then the station building is just a rough building that I put together. It's the same. It's the same rough building that I have in Jubilee Gardens. I just copied it over, so it's not finished by any means. But I didn't know what kind of style you'd want for that area or anything, and so you can do whatever.
Yeah, I'm not so sure myself, to be honest. What I think I might do actually. Alton Towers here in the UK has a cable car ride. Actually, it's much bigger than a cable car. It's they have full on what are they called? Gondolas.
Oh,
thank you. Full gondolas. They get like 10 people in them. That has like a dog leg, so it sort of has 3 stations.
Oh, so you have a transfer station in the middle.
Yeah, so you can get off in the middle, and it goes around. So something that'd be quite cool there, I think. So transfer station here, and then it goes off down into the later part of the park. So almost like awesome. That could be the original end, but then there's an additional part added on. But it's stunning. It looks so good. I'm amazed at how much you've done, to be honest. Like I said to you privately, people are used to me building one building an episode because I only get like a few hours in the game, So this is crazy.
Well, I mean, understandably so. I mean, if I had a kid too, there's no way I would. There's no way I would play this game as much as I do. So
yeah, but it's crazy how much you've done. But I love how it all ties it together. Like I've been struggling a little getting from here, from like the bottom of this bridge here, the new area, to the 40s area there. To the bridge. I've really struggled tying those together. But you've done a really great job of making that flow through, and you can see how they built right up to the old area. I haven't really given it the sort of respect it deserves almost. They've built right up to it, which is what they would have done. They would have just built up and gone, stick a building
good
there.
Enough. So sometimes it's hard, I catch myself trying to make things look too, like I get really precise, and when in reality it doesn't really matter, and that's the mentality that parks definitely have.
Definitely. They'll use every bit of space, won't they? And I think I was talking to Mass Bandit about it, and I said sometimes it's difficult because you want to make stuff look a little shoddy, a little janky, a little squished in, but you want people to know that that's because it's the style you're going for, not because you suck. Yeah, exactly. Not that you're just bad at the game. And it is a real tough line to cross, but to walk. I think you've done a really great job with it here. I love everything you've done. It's really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for letting me come in and have free reign. So.
Hey, no problem. I was talking about maybe coming over to Jubilee. We talked about it, and I was really looking forward to it until I saw what Mass did.
Oh God, yeah, he killed it. He destroyed his episode. It was amazing.
It's so good. I watched it twice. It was that good. I watched what he did twice.
Yeah, it's so good. And I feel like even the photos and the video don't do it justice. Like being at some point when we're done, we'll release the park and people can walk around in it and stuff. But he did an incredible job. So
yeah, it's really good. Next episode for us then here at Pinewood, we're probably going to be tying up this area really, I think. So finishing off here around the Zozo, probably sort of trying to cut off an end there. Bit of work on the go-karts even around here, but probably it's just going to be placeholder trees just to kind of finish it off until we decide whatever we're doing with this area. We've got the manor to put in as well. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I saw the stuff from the live stream. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know. I was wondering where you were going to put it.
I don't know yet. I just wanted to do one. I thought it'd be a good thing to build on its own while you had the park, you see. Oh, look at that. I was thinking sort of right over here, to be honest with you, really out the way. And then we can have some sort of gardens around the back of it that slowly sort of tie themselves into the park eventually. So,
nice.
We've got that to put down as well. And then really, it's kind of just sort of finishing off this area, really. This edge of the lake here. Again, mostly just sort of foliage and capping it off. But next week's going to kind of be finishing off the area, really, before we start moving into the 70s area. And we'll build a janky steel coaster, you know, like an early Vekoma or an arrow, you know, like an early looping arrow or something like that. So, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, Ruble, where can people find you? What you're up to at the moment? Where can they see your stuff?
Yeah, so on YouTube it's RubleTrillions, and on Twitter it's Ruble. It's at Ruble_trillions. So yeah, that's typically if you're on Twitter, follow me there. You'll never miss like any of the stuff that I'm working on. If you're not there, then just follow me on YouTube. And I'm doing a joint series with Commando Santa called Jubilee Gardens, and it's a realistic American style park, and then occasionally do some work on RollerCoaster as well. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. Jubilee is one of my favorite series to watch. You know, people on the channel know I talked about it on the series to watch video I did. A big fan of it. It's very different to this, you know. It's sort of I wouldn't call it like Disney level of budget,
right.
But it's a higher budget sort of Americana park. You would call it, there's a main street, there's a new industrial area, that sort of stuff. But it's interesting to see the difference between that sort of park and this one.
Yeah, the way it's kind of evolved. I mean, we didn't really have like the guys in RollerCoaster, they had sort of a grand vision of their park before they even started. Ours has definitely evolved, and it's really evolved from a lot of feedback we've gotten from people. And the way it is now, like, to me, I'm certainly no expert, no theme park or coaster expert, but the way it feels to me now is it's almost, it feels like a park that would be in the Cedar Fair portfolio. So it's kind of in that vein, you know, not necessarily like a Six Flags or a super local park. It would be probably in the portfolio of a corporation that owns multiple parks. That's kind of the vibe that we're going for now.
Yeah. So like they've got a budget, but it's not like throw money at it, Disney, Universal budget. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I didn't really have a plan with Pinewood, to be honest. The only thing I knew I wanted to do, sorry for knocking the mic, would be to have each area based around the time it was built, you know? So not like you wanted to each bit to cap off and each bit be themed about, not necessarily themed around the decade, but obviously built within a certain decade. You know?
Yeah.
Regarding ride choices, and that's the only thing I really had in my head that I wanted to do with this. But otherwise, it's growing very organically.
Well, and I think that, I mean, building that way, it adds just a ton of realism to the park that otherwise wouldn't be there. And you know, you just, without having to explicitly say this area was built at a different time, you just recognize it by, you know, going from area to area. You can just tell the way you've started and built out. You can just tell, like, oh, this wasn't a part of the original park. Like, this was built at a different time. So
that's good that it's coming across then. Awesome. So yeah, everyone head over to RubleTrillion's channel, subscribe, follow him on Twitter as well, so you can see when he's doing new stuff. You have every other Jubilee Gardens, do you?
Yeah, we go back and forth.
Yeah, so head over to Commando Santa for the other half as well. But yeah, one of my favourite series. I look forward to it every time. Thank you so much for coming on. The stuff you've done is absolutely stunning. You've completely gone over what my expectations
Awesome.
were.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate you giving me the chance, and I had a ton of fun.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thanks very much for watching, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a like. It does help out the channel. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Any thoughts, queries, or suggestions, you can pop them down in the comments. And if you fancy a chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at John T. Sparrow. And as Ruble said, you can find him at Ruble_trillions. If you'd like to join in with the Geekism community, you can do so over on our Geekism Discord server. You'll find the link in the description. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
See ya.